Hi, folks. I wanted to talk to you very quickly here at the end of week 3 in English 3301. First of all, I want to apologize for the video quality. Um, we got sent home and I'm working on an unfamiliar computer, but we'll figure it out. I want to talk to you about 3 things today. First, I wanted to talk with you a little bit more about the work that you did focusing in on writing in your field. Second, I want to talk a little bit about professional standards. And third, I want to talk about the major project 1 that you're working on. So first and foremost, the work that you did on writing in your field, I saw a couple of good examples, and I want to share them with you. Let's go to, this one was from Angelita, 3 articles. One about how to send, these all center around the music industry. Clearly she's interested in working in the area of music. And 2 articles specifically on music industry writing, ways writing will help your career, and specifically on how to send emails. So we have the links, and then we have a nice little discussion here. And I'm just going to look at Angelita's thing. In this article, it discusses how to correctly and professionally send emails in the music industry fields. One of the principles advices is that the article touches on is keeping emails as short as possible, getting as much information in as few words that you can. This is a principle that one of our textbooks also touched on. The textbook, Technical Writing Essentials, touches on this through the 7 C's of professional writing, which includes being clear, coherent, concise, concrete, correct, complete, and courteous. Another piece of etiquette in this article is always to include your phone number so they can reach you quickly and efficiently. Tell them exactly what you want in the email. Recently, I sent an email to a local radio station searching for an internship. I think that my email succeeded in doing these principles. I was able to tell them that I was in search of an internship without saying too much and provided good contact information. So this is really good. You see, it gives a nice, concise discussion of the article's content, links it to the reading that we've done for class, and then ties it to one of her own personal writing experiences. Again, I thought that was quite effective. And let's look at another one. This is from Kinley Kate. She has this. She's focusing on. She's a biomedical sciences major, and she is focusing in on writing in that field as well. Scientific research, emailing a professor. And let's just look at this last one. How scientific researchers can write effective emails. The article explains when an email is appropriate to use in a scientific environment. It goes on to explain how emails are mostly used when information is important and confidential. It also says that email could be used to give out critique, which is a big part of scientific study. When writing critique, it's always important to remember the tone, how you sound to the reader. When sending a scientist a critique, it's always wise to be respectful. One principle that stood out to me was in the how email professor writing research articles, specifically the closing. I think this article has a very short closing that's simple, best, or thanks. I was taught that signature was very often was necessary when it came to communicating in a professional setting. I recently sent out an email to the professor asking about a research opportunity. Though I had never read any of these articles, I believe I did a fairly good job, was concise in my wording, and I put prior experience I had and used an appropriate tone. So again, you have a brief summary of the article. In this case, she linked this content of this article to another piece that she'd read for this week as well. So again, linking these ideas together that we're learning, and again, linked it back to a professional experience she had. A very well done job there as well. So thanks to Kinley as well. So again, we're going to talk about, first we talked about the writing in our field. I'll come back to this in a minute. Second, we're talking about professional standards. We're going to be doing some reading and writing about this. And professionalism is important. I think we all know that we don't show up to work wearing flip-flops and a bikini or board shorts or something like that. That we need to dress and act in a particular manner. That when we speak in a professional manner as well. When we write, you don't just do everything all lowercase, no punctuation, things like that as well. So some of this basic professional standards I think are pretty obvious as well. And yet we always need to be aware of and respectful of where professional standards come from and who decides what is appropriate. Um, well, and you'll get more of this out of the reading that we do, but we want to create a work environment in which people are professional, but it's possible for people to be themselves. Some obvious examples of people from a different cultural or religious background. For an example, maybe somebody from India might be dressed in a sari or wearing a turban if they're of the Sikh religion as well. And certainly those things should be considered in the realm of professional attire. Other things some people are a little bit less tolerant of that we might want to think about as well. If someone comes from a culture where speaking loudly and vehemently is part of the culture, we as professionals need to negotiate and recognize that people who speak in this manner are still being professional, and people from this background need to at least be aware of the fact that people might receive them differently. And again, it's a hard topic to talk about, but we want to have a workplace that is professional, yet inclusive and aware of different cultural standards and backgrounds as well. The readings that we're doing this week are, I think, kind of fun, actually. One of them asks about the difference between writing between men and women and the way they write differently. And in the past, I would say male-dominated writing has been what is considered professional. And the author asked the question, why? Why can't I express some emotion? Why can't I use an exclamation point? Why can't I be me when I write as well? Another question is emojis. Now, I think this is kind of funny because I won't say I invented the emoji, but as far back as very early in my career, I would use a little smiley face if I thought something was funny or good. I didn't want to write a long explanation, but if I thought something was enjoyable and I wanted to note it as a good thing, I just insert a little smiley face. And this was back in the 1980s. I know, I can't believe I said that out loud. And I never thought of that as particularly odd or different. Some people thought it wasn't professional as well. But now, in some situations, emojis are appropriate. And again, the article will get into this a little bit more. But obviously, you need to consider your audience, how it's going to be received, what the setting is. Obviously, a formal proposal wouldn't have an emoji in it. But one of my favorite emojis is the thumbs up. You've had a series of conversations and you send a thumbs up to say, acknowledge the last thing. You know, I don't really need to say anymore. I got what you said. Thank you. So what does all this mean? It means that the standards of professionalism are changing, that the digital age has modified what we think of as professional, and we need to think about what professionalism is. We need to be professional and yet recognize where those standards come from, that they can be changed and they can be flexible as well. Last thing, probably the most important thing I'm going to talk to you about is working on your field guide to writing in your field. Now, you should be working on this continually and steadily, not a massive thing, because I want you to work on it a little bit at a time as well. So you should be looking at examples, finding examples of professional writing in your field. And you know what the assignment is, which is the field guide. And broadly speaking, and you've got the assignment, you got the examples there in Blackboard. You're going to create a field guide. It needs to be a one-page document, literally a reference document that describes the overall kinds of writing in your field, breaks into some different categories, maybe some internal communication, maybe records keeping, just whatever the categories are in your field as well. You've got 10 different kinds of writing as well. And then the chart asks you to identify characteristics of it as well. Who is the reader? Who is the purpose? What will it be used for? What are some of the ethical considerations when writing this particular document as well? And some references as well. It needs to be literally, it's a reference guide. It's not going to be 6 pages long. It needs to literally all fit on one sheet, the way the example does as well. It needs to be visually interesting. And right now, you need to be looking for examples of that kind of writing, finding them, saving them, collecting them, reading them, and if at all possible, identifying somebody who works in that job and get an example of that. So that's what we're going to be doing. In addition to learning about professional and technical writing in the field, we're going to be looking at analyzing those documents for the next several weeks until we get done with our field guide. And the other part is a reflection, which I'll talk about as we get closer to time. And people have asked, it's in the syllabus, and I realize there's lots of information. This is due the Friday before spring break. I believe that's March 11th. But if we just work at it steadily a little bit at a time, you'll be in good shape when it comes time to turn it in. So delighted with your work so far. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. And as always, keep on writing. Thanks. Bye-bye.